Hi everyone, hope you're well. It's Sunday afternoon and it is pouring down outside, so I've retreated to the shed, and I thought I'd just do a quick demo on making a trifle of bulbs for outside this time. You can do them inside as well, and it's kind of the same principle, but I'm doing a couple of outdoor pots which I've actually had salvia love and wishes in for the last 5 months, probably 4 months, and because they're a bit tender, it's a good idea now, October, to start sort of trying to bring things in that are tender. So tender salvias, pelargoniums, things like that, that unfortunately will get come a cropper with the frost. And October, you know, you can be really caught out with a frost. So dahlias is another thing entirely, and I'm still trying to debate whether to leave my dahlias in the ground or lift them and store them, because I've done both, and sometimes if I lift them and take them out and store them, then they go all mouldy and mushy and horrible, and sometimes if I leave them in, then I lose them because it's a really wet winter and they rot. So I just don't know what I can't quite work it out yet, but I'll let you know what I do. But in the meantime, so that's salvia, which I've just literally trimmed down. It looks like this. You can probably see it there. It's all going over now. But so I'm just going to put that in a cold frame over winter, and do the same with that one. And then for the bulbs, so I've got 2 pots like this, and they go sort of by my back door. And I'm going to use 3 layers. The bottom layer is going to be a tulip, and these are from Parker's Wholesale, which are really good. They give you really lovely juicy bulbs. You plant with the pointy top up, and you pack them quite tightly in. I quite like a nice sort of lavish display. I've filled the pot, as you can see, probably sort of a third full with compost, and I'm going to do my tulips on the bottom. So you do the biggest bulbs on the bottom and then you layer them up. So I've got tulips, and this one's Black Parrot, which is a gorgeous, really dark, frilly tulip. And then I've got a lovely narcissi called Talia, which is a white, really dainty, very pretty, 30 centimetres, beautiful daffodil. And that will go on my second layer, and then on the top I've got some muscari, some great hyacinth, which I love, and they're tiny little bulbs like that. And this one's called Aqua Magic. These ones are from Blom's actually, which is another really good company for bulbs. And my tulips have all just arrived. I don't tend to plant tulips in the ground until November at the earliest, really. Because they, you know, A, there's so much other stuff to do, and B, they benefit from being left slightly later. So they like the cold, and it just means that it's one less thing to do in October, and you've got all your other bulbs to get in. So daffodils, they definitely need to be planted now, and try when you're planting to kind of plant them in clumps as opposed to rows, because they look a bit like soldiers standing in a row if not. So just sort of the easiest thing to do actually, if you're putting them in grass, is just scatter them and then plant them where they've landed. It just gives for the most sort of natural effect. But anyway, so I'm going to start putting my tulips in right at the bottom. As I say, I'm going to do 2 pots. I think I've got, I don't know if I've got 50 here probably, and bed them all the way around, quite close together. Probably not touching, but just quite close. And then the idea is that the daffodils and the great hyacinth will flower sort of March, April time, and then these tulips will be the last thing to flower. So you can see at the bottom there, I've sort of filled, and they've fallen out. I'll put them back in their spots. But that's kind of what it looks like. And then all you do literally is just take some compost and cover them. This is just John Innes number 1 actually. So you just give them a layer, maybe a bit more, and then you get your narcissi and do another layer. Some people call this a bold lasagna. It's all kind of, you know, I prefer trifle to lasagna. So you do that. I've got more. You can do these inside as well. So inside, I usually use bulb fibre. I think I did a demo on Christmas hyacinths, and I usually use bulb fibre or just normal compost with a bit of charcoal in it, because it stops the kind of smell. Sometimes compost can sort of go slightly funny in the house. But you don't need to use compost at all, especially for narcissi. You can literally put them in stones, and they will grow through. Or you could put them in a jar of water and just have the roots dangling down, so they just touch the water, and you'll be amazed what happens. So all good things to try, and any kind of container will do really. These have got drainage in the bottom, but for inside, obviously, you don't worry about the drainage. I've got, so these are the hyacinth I did, and they're all sitting here. Ooh, got something funny on them. And I just cover them with a plastic bag, a black bin liner, just to make sure that they have as much dark as possible, because that will kind of keep them from going mad until you really want them to. I usually bring them in, you know, kind of